got the word showed up on the screen. Do you see it when it does the countdown, Blake? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do that show up for you too?
Yeah, it
No,
does.
they call it just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So here we are. We're going.
Are we gonna sing Major Tom? 4, 3, 2, 1.
2, 5. Hey, Rachel, Sue, and Blake. We got James Farley as our first guest today. Hi, James. Welcome to the show. We got a barn burner. We got a good one. A lot of stuff going on. I went and just grabbed a massive amount of X. Okay, let's go. X. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, let's go share that. Boom. Because, I can share anything on X. Okay. These are my notifications in X because I'm in there. We go home, boom. Then we go here. Let's go bookmarks. I bookmarked a whole bunch of stories. Okay. So today's show is the kind of what do you want to call it? The Ireland is exploding and Alex Jones is imploding. So I got them all lined up here, Blake, via bookmark style rather than tabs at the top. And we'll just run through them. We'll repeat ourselves. Some of the stories compound, but, let's just really wing it and fly by the seat of our pants here. What I will do is make this larger so everybody can see what's going on. Okay, let's take a look in here. Okay, we're set. There's little Owen Schroyer. This is Alex Jones' former wingman, out on his own now, looking very biblical. He's got that kind of disciple look, but I think he's anything but. The doomer grifters all say the exact same things day after day after day. So boring. 0 hour reposts. Both of these accounts captured in 0 hour are fantastic. They are both MAGA all the way, which is what I am. I let Blake define himself, but I'm MAGA. He finally got that reassignment. Sir. What the hell? Owen Schroyer, is it time to vote for Democrats in the midterms? Holy smoke. Any credibility these morons may ever have had, and that includes Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, all the rest of them, it's gone. It's just shot to hell. Is it time to vote for Democrats in the midterm? So absolutely nonsensical. Blake, take it away.
Well, Owen Schroyer, I'm surprised they're giving him any publicity because he doesn't have a massive following. I mean, he had a following because he was part of the InfoWar group, in Alex Jones, right? And so he had been in, as you said, the wingman's probably a correct term. And then they had, I think what happened is X, right? When it went free, all of a sudden these fractures started to happen because people are like, oh, hey, I can go make money again. Being my own pundit, I don't need to share my revenues with Alex Jones or get a paycheck from Alex Jones. I can go make my own. Unfortunately, I'll go back to our last show. My point is that these guys have a real hard time being on the majority side now. They're used to being the people in perpetual opposition, and because they drive ratings through the algorithm by creating rage, and they don't know how to operate. I do believe this. I don't, like you mentioned all those names. I don't think they really know how to operate when it comes to when your people are now in power. I mean, I understand one concept. If you're a true journalist, it shouldn't matter who's in power, right? That's the intent. If you're a journalist, then you're journaling the story and you're covering the stories. You don't take a side, you cover it. But if you're a pundit, like these guys all are, they generally have a bias and they follow that and they have their guy and they supported Trump all the way up until he wins. Then when he wins, the benefit they had in 2016 through 2020 with Trump is that Trump was almost in like a perpetual state of opposition. Even though he won, he was treated like he was still in opposition. And when he had government, and that's so the rage from the MAGA base was still there to fight. Now MAGA's like, hey, we're winning now. We can still keep winning. These guys are turning their guns inwardly on their own people, which is just, again, I think is all tied to a desperation, a revenue play, because I think these guys are obsessively watching their data on X, on YouTube, et cetera. It's all about, this is how they cut a living. If those ratings start dropping and they're not getting paid as much, they got to drive outrage. So what they do is they do crap like this. That's all it is. It's just garbage purposely to drive ratings. They might as well call themselves National Enquirer reporters, because that's kind of what they're doing. Broad statements that are meaningless other than to just draw in outrage, even if it's in opposition to what they actually believe. And that's like this Owen Schroyer comment, as you got right off the top here. Should we vote Democrats? Is it time to do that? Well, you've spent your entire career against the Democrats. Why would you even state that when they are absolutely diametrically opposed to your worldview? That is, I'll tell you why, Owen. I'll tell you why, Alex Jones. Or the reason why you would enjoy that is because having them in power all of a sudden draws more people to follow you. That's the problem. You guys are in a perpetual opposition type of media system, and you need to move to be able to be supporting who you said you would support. And that's the problem. You don't get your paycheck. Your paychecks aren't as big as anywhere. Well, maybe you need to find a different business to get into.
Okay, there is a problem with that approach. Sure, you can rage bait and you get your clicks and your views that way, but there's a risk associated with it, and here's the risk.
Money.
So
you
over here,
money from the wrong people.
There's a Ryan Saavedra. He goes, CNN Tucker Carlson's approval rating at the GOP has gone down to 40 from 70, or it's gone down 47%. So only 7% of Republicans in the party like this guy. How many Democrats like Tucker Carlson? That's maybe even the bigger question for him. When you go up against Donald Trump, you want to appeal to the Republican base. To quote the movie Good Burger, you go in the grinder. Republican voters choose Trump basically every single time over Tucker Carlson. We go big, we play the clip, and because it's not a long one, a minute 25, here we go.
Let's start off with Tucker Carlson, who has been in absolute free fall with Republicans. I mean, just take a look at this. Look at this trend line. Tucker Carlson's net favorable. Back in March of 2024, when he and Donald Trump were very close friends, look at this. He was at plus 54 points. Look at where he is today at only plus 7 points among Republicans, and that includes GOP-leaning independents. I mean, that is a drop of, 47 percentage points. My goodness gracious. When you go up against Donald Trump and you want to appeal to the Republican base, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go on the grinder, and that is exactly what has happened to Tucker Carlson, who has absolutely collapsed among Republicans.
So if it is a choice between the president and Tucker Carlson among these voters, what do they basically say?
Yeah, they choose Donald Trump basically every single time. Look at this. Okay, the exact same poll, this UMass Lowell poll. Look at this. Net favorables among Republicans. Again, this is Republicans plus Republican-leaning independents. You see Carlson on the right side of your screen at plus 7 points. Look at where Donald Trump is, at plus 61 points. And this is actually a little bit low for Donald Trump. In other polls around the same time, he was even higher than this. Again, he is crushing Tucker Carlson. What is this? This is a 54-point advantage for Donald Trump over Tucker Carlson when it comes to who is more popular among Republican voters. And, of course, this isn't even just talking about the MAGA base, where Donald Trump is running an approval rating somewhere between 97 and 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and Trump's 100% approval rating from yours truly here. Absolutely impressed. The guy's rewriting. He's re-scripting the entire world. It's unbelievable what's happening. And so I couldn't be happier with Trump. But here's the danger. So you rage bait Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones, whoever you may be. Tucker Carlson, a big guy, probably maybe even the most legitimate and biggest of them all. He had the world's largest legacy news slot in the evening hour. It was, everybody was tuning in. Tucker, he had the world by the short hairs, and then he lost it at Fox. He got kicked out of Fox, but that's okay. He still came up with a very popular podcast. But his base were people like me. Do you follow Tucker Carlson? Is he on your follow list?
I follow a lot of people, yeah. Including Tucker.
He's off my list. I don't follow him anymore. Yeah. So that's how many people have done what I've done? Well, many may be more like yourself, continue following, find him interesting, whatever. People like me.
Well, it's more to track what they're saying and what others are saying. But yeah,
I don't follow Owen Schroyer either. but somehow, some way, Owen's incredible declaration, "Is it time to vote Democrat?" made it across my feed. So I don't need to follow these clowns for other patriots to go in there and reveal the truth about them. But for me, they're persona non grata. Their words mean nothing to me. Now, Jones is a guy I've been on with, kind of following longer, in terms of like I was more on board with Tucker. I knew his idiosyncratic and his silly little giggle he gets. When he does that thing, that's a little off-putting. But overall, I was in agreement. When he was on Crossfire, it was Republican versus Democrat. I go, oh, okay, the kid with the bow tie, that's where my money is. I'll go with the young bow tie wearing guy.
And he wasn't admitted he supported Bush and the weapons of mass destruction lie and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
so at least he admitted
too,
that.
Though.
But we all did. I think we were like, okay, well, let's go get him. And a matter of fact, Don Kerry did.
They had Colin Powell.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. Colin Powell had here's the pictures of weapons. Well, go get him.
And Blair, Tony Blair did.
We just had the World Trade Center blowing up. The planes, I saw the planes go into it. I saw everything crumble, crumble, crumble. New York fire engines, cops.
Yeah.
The bodies flying off the building. Tears out of my eyes. When that plane hit that thing, my eyes just shot projectile tears. It was unbelievable, Blake. It was instantaneous. It was spontaneous. It was, like what do you call it? The reserve nervous system just kicked in because I knew what it represented, that all those people had just instantaneously.
Yeah, it was just like people reflect to the point in Star Wars. Remember when he knew the whole planet got destroyed and he just felt.
Spock did the same thing.
Yeah, all the planet blew
Star
up.
Trek.
Yeah, that's right.
Vulcans, 500 Vulcan lives are just snuffed out. Spock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just have no time for any of these guys. Okay, and then of course, and my point is that there is a cost associated with all this now. So we'll return to Alex Jones a little later in the program, but I'm just going by these things one after the other. Okay, this is from the Amuse count. This is Spain right now. The European Union. Yeah, Spain announced it's leading the effort to build a unified European army. With more than 3 million unemployed single military age Islamic men in Europe, you won't have any trouble drafting plenty to join the war in Ukraine and deter Russia. And I've got more footage of this, but the big story coming out of Spain, and I went to AI on this and said, is this legit footage? Is this today's footage? Is it contemporary? What's going on? And it said, yeah, there's been a real surge in what's going on. And of course, I could do real time just by going grok. But, if it's demanded by the peanut gallery, I'll do it. I've got another clip on this later on. But anyway, they're getting invaded. We call it, people on our side of the line call it invasion. They've opened the doors and these guys are pouring in.
There's no women, by the way. Look, count the women in there.
Yeah, that point has been made. Yeah, most of them, I would argue at least 90% of them, if not more, are fighting age males. So let me go back into our program here and just remove this for the time being. Hide. All right. So Blake, thoughts on that, the immigration issue, Spain, leftist government?
Yeah, they're a Marxist government in Spain. Anybody, they call themselves socialists. No, they're Marxists. It's the Mom Danny crowd. It's the David Eby crowd. They're globalists that are using the tools of Marxism under the banner of socialism to consolidate power, control people. You'll own nothing. You'll eat the bugs. You'll be happy living under their tyranny. And that's essentially this program marches forward in multiple countries around the world, even though America fought back, elected Trump, got the MAGA movement in power there. Luckily, there's a handful of European countries that have seen the light and are going the right direction on this. I think of Viktor Orban. But this is the problem. What you're seeing, it was done under one simple reason. These people operate under the concept of telling you, slap you in the face and say you're hitting yourself. This is their policy on everything. They tell you you're the problem when they're the problem. You're the racist when they're the racist. You're the person that's costing the taxpayers money when it's actually them. The point is, these guys never end this concept. When they were telling everybody the world's overpopulated, we need to cut back our populations, Europe went into negative growth, right? So you can't support a socialist system. You can't support all these entitlements, what our American friends call them, without a population, a healthy population that you're birthing locally. They ended up killing them all off. They went into negative growth. The baby boomers didn't have enough kids. Baby boomers were told, no, don't have children. Don't have this. Don't have that. Well, we'll look after you when you're old too. And the healthcare system will be there for you and your pensions will be there for you and you'll have a great life, but just stop having kids because you're ruining the environment. You're going to destroy the planet. This is that policy. So what did they do in this panic? They knew in the 1990s this was going to happen, the demographic bomb, yet they kept projecting on everybody. No, we got too many people in the world. Ask China. They did the same thing. They've permanently damaged their population growth. They're actually in negative population growth. The one-child policy. And who did they knock out in the one-child policy to the extreme? Mainly women, because the men were kept as the one child. The women were the ones that were aborted. And it's become a spiraling nightmare because now you've got this situation. This is what Elon Musk is talking about, folks. This is what Elon Musk has been mentioning all along about saving humanity and civilization, because the only idea these guys had to fix this problem financially is to bring in third world migration through to what people were called replacement theory, which isn't a theory. This is, again, comes back to this projection of gaslighting. Oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Almost every conspiracy has been a fact. These guys have been rolling it out. It's in their documents. So Europe was in a desperate drop in population to fill those coffers with people who will work for cheap, because their unfunded liabilities, being the first world citizens, were costing the system too much money. They're dying out. They need people to work. They'll work cheap. And all those younger people that were told that, hey, the world's going to be your oyster in 20 years, back in the 1990s, you guys will be able to make lots of money because there's going to be less people competing for those positions. The baby boomers had to compete. Remember the long lines for jobs you had to do in the 1970s and 80s and all that stuff there, because there was so much competition for work. Well, this is how they do it. They create this deluge of people who are cheap labor from third world nations of the world, and they think this is the answer to fix this. This isn't some conspiracy. Oh, we want to convert Europe into Islam. It's just, this is the cheap labor pool. This is what this is about. And it's that simple. That's what it's about. And I think people need to understand that they don't care. And I'm talking about the WF types, the globalists, the central banker types that have been the bean counters that are watching their power slip away. The only way they could do what they need to do is to drown your nations with foreign people who have very little skills. And the only skills they have are they show up and they're willing to do something for half the price of the locals and to fulfill a tax need to cover those unfunded liabilities. So you being retired, boomers, so you're enjoying your retirement. It's because that's why we have in Canada the same problem. The elbows up crowd don't care that the rest of the country gets swamped with migrants from other parts of the world, from the third world, and taking off all their grandchildren and their children's futures away from them to being able to have those jobs. We're not against immigration. And I think that's the part that gets confused in this. And this is how they gaslight. Oh, you're just a racist. You just don't want. No. It has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with the stability of my country. Yeah. I want stability. I want a healthy environment. I want a healthy future for my grandchildren. I don't want civil war. I don't want them to go into sectarian violence and problems that happen when you bring in cultures that are currently at war with each other. Mm-hmm. And you want that to happen in your country. So essentially, this replacement needs to stop. And this is what it's all about, because it's a destruction of Western civilization that we're watching.
Yeah, and
all
I think
this
people
so those
are
globalists can keep their money, keep their power. They don't care what the color of your skin is, as long as you're a slave to their system. And that's what MAGA fights against. That's what MAGA is stopping. That's what MAGA is putting an end to, is that we're not going to allow those people who are running the WF, the City of London types that want to maintain their financial control and power of the world. That's who we're up against, because they're the ones that are displacing the native populations of their own country. And that's why we can talk about what's going on in Ireland, what's going on in Spain, and what's going on.
We got Ireland coming up in the program.
And what they're trying to do to Viktor Orban, right?
But the other the other issue, of course, that people are pointing out is that Europe is really winding up. They want to go at Russia, and Trump is aware of that. He knows what they're wanting to do. They're talking about conscription coming back, a number of things in preparation to take on Russia, but it's not going to happen. Trump's he's pulling out of NATO. NATO's over as far as any American involvement. We're seeing that happen. Trump tweeting out today pretty powerfully about that. But also this whole idea that these young men coming here fighting age, hey, you got your instantaneous army because your people are all under a rainbow flag and in no way capable of fighting a physical, manly war. You're too busy doing your nails, and I'm talking about the guys. So bring in these hardened, war-torn people from these areas where life and death and war is the norm. And,
or culturally, corruption is a normal part of life. And I think that is the difference. The Western civilization had tried its best to remove itself from a corrupt governmental system, but now everything is eroding. And a lot of the people that are coming in are not necessarily just from war-torn areas. They're economic. They're calling them refugees, but it's really purely economic. It has nothing to do with war. They're just dumping in millions of people with unskilled
I think it'll
labor.
serve their purpose. I think that'll serve their purposes as well.
Well, I think once some of these people are told you got to go fight for us now, they'll run back home pretty quick.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what form that takes and how that'll flesh itself out. Okay, next story. We're moving along. We got a bunch of them. Okay, this is a fun one. This is Candace Owen, who's just out there lately. You mean it wasn't Israeli ninja aliens? Like Candace Owen says, breaking, alleged gunman Tyler Robinson wrote in a letter, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk, allegedly told his boyfriend, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I took it, according to newly unsealed court documents. So, I mean, that's the guy's own testimony. Now, you can go further than that and question whether the guy wrote it or is this real or what's going on with that. But the point is that at least according to if we are to believe it's the actual testimony of the actual shooter, holy small, a lot of caveats there, then it would seem to indicate that Israel did not shoot and kill Charlie Kirk. Thoughts on that, Blake? Obviously, I think, what the guy says. The media whipped up a lot of leftists, nut job leftists, and killed Charlie Kirk. There's no point in Charlie Kirk's not a big target, not at this point. It's too early. We don't know what he was going to become and given enough time. Would he be a legitimate contender for the highest office in the nation? Taking somebody out is kind of a high call, a high roll of the dice, risky call. If you're
I agree. He wasn't a state risk to another state. Israel certainly was not going to be in trouble because of words Charlie Kirk or whatever Charlie Kirk believed. It didn't matter. It's inconsequential. Where Charlie Kirk had value is he was preaching Christ crucified and risen on campuses and converting people to Jesus and converting people to conservatism as well, letting them see that they're I call them maple Maoists here in Canada, but the Maoist Marxist operating on our culturally on our campuses. We're converting our children into radical nutcases, and he was going head to head with that. And what was the spin-off benefit to that? Millions of voters, young voters, who were moving away from the Democrats. So if there was any conspiracy of who would want him dead, it would be radical Democrats that would want him dead.
LGBTQ plus MMM.
Well, just any. We'll play that video next. But Canada once again makes headlines for the wrong reasons. But I mean, Canada again. It goes back to my original comment. When they're not making sense, it says to me that they're so desperate for ratings, they'll do anything to make a buck off the algorithm. And Candace Owens is one of them. It's not a big Jewish conspiracy, and anybody who says that is full of crap. Just because Charlie Kirk may have had an opinion that he didn't like what was going on in Gaza with the bombing, I don't think anybody wants to see children to die, but he would also counter that he's a 100% supporter of the state of Israel. So it made no sense, Correct. And I think there's the only argument that anybody, as I said, can always say about Israel is just talk about their policies. If you disagree with Netanyahu's government, then target Netanyahu and his government and his policies. Just like you can target Mark Carney and his government in Canada or Albanese and Australia, and we don't like what they're doing there, that's fine. The open season. But don't say the Jews went off to go and kill Charlie Kirk. That's
nonsense. It's insanity.
That's just anti-Semitism in its purest form, right? And that's where people's secret side of this, and that one guy seems to be the disciple, and I don't want to keep saying his name because it gives him credibility. But Nick Fuentes, they seem to be all disciples to Nick Fuentes. They seem to be his disciples. And this guy he came out of nowhere, almost like a deep state drop. And all these people interview him, and all of them are influenced by his anti-Israel,
but where what do you see as Fuentes? I mean, how big a deal is this? I think it's a drop in the water. It's not enough to derail MAGA. MAGA's going full steam ahead. We got rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene. A MAGA guy just took her seat. What? Oh, wow. MAGA's dead.
Yeah.
Maybe the reports of MAGA's death are premature. What about Alaska? Strong, a county where Kamala Harris won by something like 8 points or something, has now turned red for Trump, is another MAGA candidate in Alaska winning that, special election. So there's good things happening. And wait and watch, boys and girls. If that Save America Act goes through, it'll literally do that. The Dems are going to be dead in the water.
Well, I think these guys, as I said, the Nick Fuentes types I believe, are drops into the MAGA sphere to try and create division. And then there's the ones, as I said, they're the algorithmic types that are just desperate for clicks and likes and follows so that they make money from those platforms. But I don't like this idea that, because these guys come across as very clever. They're kind of like they sound logical.
There's a litmus test. There's a litmus test for MAGA. If they go against Trump, and all of these idiots have, they're persona non grata. MAGA, we reject them. We reject them outright. You're gone. You're not getting. Massey is not getting reelected. Thomas Massey. With his America First versus MAGA, right? That's his thing. America First, bigger than MAGA. He's dead in the water too. His approval ratings are in the toilet too. These guys got nothing. It's MAGA. It's Trump or nothing. You go against Trump, you die. And that's even a target is big. And Tucker Carlson a hell of a lot bigger than Fuentes.
But Tucker, as soon as he started hanging around with Fuentes and he started mirroring Fuentes's talking points, and that's the problem I have. And there's he's even created his own little group of followers. He's got a name for it. I think they call themselves Groypers or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is insane. Like we're seeing it in Canada as well, right? We see this divide that's happening intentionally is being done, in my opinion. I said you drop in state actors who pretend to be supporters of your side of the aisle, and look what's happening. Canada is the reflection of what America you do not want to follow, because that's how they destroy you. Is they destroy you from within. We're watching the disintegration of the Conservative Party in Canada. We're watching and we're watching how the Liberals are just eating everybody alive because
our Conservatives, in fairness, we don't have a figure in Canada that's as electrifying as Trump. We don't have the guy. I mean, Poilievre with his
we need somebody who'll stay to his own. Man. Well, the difference between Trump and Poilievre and the other politicians is that Trump doesn't give a rat's ass about what his handlers are telling him. He said, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to say. This is what I believe. I'm not changing course just to appeal to public relations firms. But the problem is these politicians are so scared to be themselves because they're afraid of the regime media. They're afraid of somebody offending somebody and losing that
you vote. Fail right away.
You fail right away. That's the point.
I need Daniel in the goddamn lion's den.
Exactly.
I don't need I don't need Peter sitting there when they're all coming to take Christ away and they all run away.
Running away and hide. Yeah.
Cock crows twice.
I don't know that guy. I didn't know that guy.
That's the deal. So we need be strong and of good courage. We need the spirit of Joshua and Caleb to take the promised land, to see there's giants in the land. We can't take it.
Well,
screw the giants. Go in there and take their heads.
Well, we have leaders that do. And the funny thing is that we're all I'm not saying we, but there seems to be, we got to find this right leader that just kind of pulls everyone together. No, you need a leader that actually stands on their convictions, stays the course. If George Washington, America, if George Washington was listening to handlers that we have today, he probably would have negotiated a nice settlement with King George, and they would have had, England would have controlled the colonies. They would have maybe gave them a tax break on their tea.
His kid brother Frederick would have been blamed for the cherry tree.
That's right.
On me. Don't be looking at me.
That's right. Yeah, but it's conviction. Conviction is the sign of leadership, and it also means that you have to stand in the wind when everybody else is cowering from it. And it means you have to be maybe the lone voice in the wilderness crying out, saying, you guys are going the wrong direction, even though the masses are following that wrong way. And it's just saying, this is the wrong direction. And then you win converts over. That's the difference. Trump showed up and says, I'm willing to fight. This is what I believe in. And I'm going to continue to do it.
And when he goes into a black church, he doesn't start sounding like he's African American, or if he goes into the Hindu community, he doesn't sound like Apu, from The Simpsons. He's just Trump all the time, consistent. Poilievre will be clicky da, whatever group he is appealing to, he's suddenly that guy. So I have no respect for it. So Canada's Conservative parties, it's like all we had were rhinos. All we had were Lindsey Grahams and Mitch McConnell's and people like that. We don't have the Trump figure, and we need him desperately.
Well, you need people that have a professional life that's not politics. And I think that, it's kind of like
there's a good point too, yeah.
It's like, Poilievre, when he was on his game, he was being himself. But as soon as the election period starts to show up, his handlers took over, because he's got handlers telling him, you need to appeal to the Ontario voter. But they're the worst. You need to appeal to the Quebec
the worst
voter.
Handlers in the world, because
because they're all Toronto GTA based people. That's the wrong people. And then you got the rest of the country.
Canada's dead as a doornail, old Marley.
Yeah.
Okay, next story, Blake. We got a whole bunch going on. This is a good one. This is kind of a feel-good story. Alberta is lucky to have Jeffrey W. Rath. This guy is a lawyer type, 34, championing First Nation rights, represent communities against oppression. What I got to make up and say? He's a lawyer. He's defending democracy and independence in court today. Let's all remember to thank him. John Bolton, Rath is slaughtering the First Nation lawyers in court right now, schooling them on the referendum process, pointing out how they misled the judge. The judge is even shocked by the real process. Stay free, Alberta. Alberta independence. So, Blake, this story obviously has to do with the upcoming referendum on Alberta independence, and a number of First Nations people are North American Indians, Native American Indians, are moving in, and they're saying you can't do it. We have a stake in all this. There's no referendum. It's not going to be allowed to go forward. And apparently, without knowing the details on this, apparently Jeffrey Rath is going in there and he is taking names and kicking ass and getting it done.
Yeah.
So this is really, really positive development there, Blake. That even the judge is shocked. So he's obviously scoring some legal points. We all got to be happy about that. Your thoughts about hearing that? Were you aware of this story?
Yeah. I'm aware because BC is looking at the problem because of obviously our treaty problems. The differences between Alberta and British Columbia, of course, is that Alberta is under treaties, actual treaties signed, agreed to, and completed. They're all numbered. There's like treaty 8 and 7 and 6. They're all numbered. So essentially, those are done deals. So there's no more land claim battles. There's not all this kind of stuff. So it's all changed. They want to obviously open it up, but the argument is that those treaties were signed with the Crown, right? So their treaty was with Canada, and Canada took over the responsibilities of looking after the Indigenous peoples of Canada, and that's why we call it Indian Affairs. That was the Ottawa run system that actually has been horrible to Native people of Canada. It's horrible when a bureaucracy comes in to babysit you. It would have been better to set deals where they do have some land, they do have their own communities, they could do what they want, or welcome the choices. You can join us as a society together as one and reap the benefits of freedom, liberty, and be all that you can be, right? Rather than a feudal type system that really what they were before, tribes with chieftains who had infinite hereditary power. So I think that's the argument that they have laid out. But the problem is that there's nothing within the Alberta referendum process that states that there's a separation from the Crown, because they were a Crown. They're essentially saying, well, we're still a Crown colony, even if we leave, or if we still agree to those terms and conditions of the treaty. So there's nothing stopping it. So there's nothing preventing Alberta from leaving. And quite frankly, I would take it a step further. And I've been saying this on X the last few days, especially after we've seen the Conservative Party defectors that have been running to Mark Carney's WF, the general of generals for all your asset managers and central bankers of the world. This guy has been able to pick away some of the most so-called conservative people. The latest one, Marilyn Gladu, her name was, who was considered far right by, pro-life.
She was part of the shadow cabinet for Poilievre, so she wasn't a backbencher. So she's high profile, but paid off, obviously, or compromised. I don't know whether she's blackmailed or compromised, or they made her an offer she couldn't refuse. I have no idea what goes through people's heads like that.
Money, offshore bank accounts. It's the only way I can put anything. Is she got a lot of money and something thrown to her where it will never be traced or followed. This is how you deal with the corruption. But my point is that I would take it a step further, and the people of Alberta, you do not even need to hold a referendum. You can hold a vote in your legislature. You don't need it. You didn't need a referendum to join Canada. You don't need a referendum to leave it. I say that for any province because they sure made it easy as hell for politicians to bring you into the country of Canada without a vote. of the people. They did it through their own MLAs. You can vote in the legislature to leave today. Daniel Smith, stop being a coward. I think you're a strong enough leader, but stop playing footsies on both sides. Get in, get out of the chicken driving game with them. Pull the trigger, because the only answer Canada has right now is to blow it up. And if you blow it up right now, this would be the best way for Canada to either reform under a better constitution, or we all go our own different ways, because we can tell Quebec and Ontario, finally, you're not going to have power over us any further in the West. We will do our own thing. So you have two choices, Alberta. Leave now, and then you have a president who will be in power, who is favorable to your independence. Because in 2 years, you don't know what you're going to get. You could have another lunatic Biden dummy put in place with puppet strings, and who is a WF convert who's going to support Carney in everything they do. So you got to pull the trigger now. Don't wait 2 years of referendums and blah, blah. We've seen this game before in the UK over Brexit. They play games. Don't let them play games. Just unilaterally declare your independence. Just freaking do it. And
anybody playing games isn't worth the time of day. Again, we need no wishy-washy bullshit, putty too. We need people, strong people, making right decisions. Okay.
Well, I just want to point to Pat's point there.
All right,
Pat, it is productive. And the reason why it's productive is Canada is broken. It's not going to work when you have a central elite power called the Laurentian elite that runs from the GTA to Montreal, that run everything about Canada. Nobody has to campaign outside of those areas. They can only run it from there. And that's the problem with Canada. We do not have an equal country. We do not have an equal division of powers across the country. We have an unequal system. We can't be purely by population only. We have to have an American-like system where you have a separation between popular vote, and then you have the states vote, and then you have an overriding thing that the individual rights and freedoms are protected constitutionally from the mob. That's the mob rule mentality. Canada, to do what Alberta's doing, if they leave, this would force Canada to make a decision. We either come back to the table and find a way to recreate Canada under a new constitution, or we just go our own ways, start our own countries, or some of us may want to join the United States. But that is the only answer. Canada is a failed state. It's not going to work under the current system. We have to allow Alberta to break it. That's the only way. Somebody's got to smash the glass on the emergency fire and grab that fire hose and start spraying this thing down, because it is a mess. And that's I think the only way to fix Canada. Somebody's got to be willing to be brave enough to break it permanently and to reform it into something else.
Yeah, I think there's enough people of our ilk that support a strong Canada, or whatever we want it, what we're going to turn into. But, that are against the whole idea of the Islamification issue and the breakdown of the cohesion of the society, the advent of, God, there's one in England, actually. I think I've got it bookmarked. We may not get to it today. There's so many bookmarks. But in England, it's actually part of the citizen test in England, folks, that you've got to know out of multiple choice, what is the holiday immediately following Ramadan called? That is for a British citizen test for going into England. There's no way on God's green earth that should be there. Nothing like it. That's like saying, after Genesis, what book features in the Bible? After you read Habakkuk, who is the greatest prophet other than Habakkuk in the Old Testament? I mean, it's just nonsense. So it shouldn't even be there, but it is. And I checked the AI on it. But we got more good news. So good news, we got a good fighting lawyer ripping apart the counter argument of the natives, saying you can't have a referendum. Apparently you can't have a referendum. It's looking good.
You don't even need to have a referendum. Just unilaterally declare it. Just do it, Daniel Smith. Just declare independence.
Attaboy. Okay, here we go, Blake. Break in final order removal has just been ordered for Mahmoud Kali after he lost his appeal in court. Kali, one of the architects of the riots at Columbia University last year, He'll be scheduled for deportation immediately. Finally. Mahmoud Kahil to be deported to Algeria. Have fun. Enjoy your native land of Algeria. So another small victory for the good guys in that case, Blake. Nice to hear. The Colombia, I mean, this is obviously a step in the right direction. Any thoughts on that story?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just watched Marco Rubio video where he was being crucified by a couple senators in a committee. And of course, they're going after him about certain cultural Marxists from other countries that have infected the campuses and they're being thrown out. He has no problems. They're guests. They're guests. You need to obey the U.S. laws, and you should be supporting the United States if you're there. The point is that they can't be hanging their hats in the United States and causing trouble. Very simple. What's his name from? I used to watch this news show with Pat Buchanan, and there were a bunch of old people way back. I can't remember. The guy used to chair it. He'd say "bye bye" at the end. that's. I'd love for them to say that just as they're giving them their power, their papers, and off they go back home. There you go. Bye bye.
Okay, let's head in. We got yet another story.
Yeah, I know, Pat. It's what my point is. It's
go ahead.
I know it sounds counterintuitive when you're talking about separation. It's not separation, it's independence. There's a big difference. Separation is they want to be able to control their own, much like Quebec keeps saying, they want to be an independent country within a sovereignty association of Canada. Well, the only way, and I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you have to break it or do what Trump does. It's the art of the deal. You take everything and then you negotiate from there, right? So you basically got to put yourself equals at the table. Right now, Alberta is not being treated as an equal at the table, nor is Saskatchewan or British Columbia. We are all sitting as unequals at the table with Quebec and Ontario. And that has to change. And if it means blowing up the system and forcing them to the table, that might be their panic and finally come down and willing to sacrifice the power that they've centralized in the Laurentian corridor of Canada.
All right, just getting a message here on the private thing, taking care of that. Now, let's share the next headline. This next one is a big story. This is all of really where the eyes are focused right now. It has to do with the economy and everything. It's a beautiful quote because it really explains exactly where we are with Iran and what's going on. Breaking Trump just went off saying Iran has no cards other than short-term extortion of the world, short-term, by using international waterways. The only reason they are alive today is to negotiate. Let's go to the president himself. The Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards other than short-term extortion of the world by using international waterways. The only reason they are alive today is to negotiate. It's the only reason Trump left them alive. I need somebody to talk to so we can get this country back on its feet. The Iranians are better at handling the fake news media and public relations than they are at fighting. President Donald John Trump. U.S. warships are being reloaded with the best ammunition to resume strikes if peace talks fail. So Trump's literally got a gun to the country of Iran and is telling them in no uncertain terms, play right or I'm going to put the squeeze on you. I can't put it any other way than that. And anybody saying endless wars and everything else, I saw a community note on Juanita Broddick talking about to a left counteracting a leftist, some pundit, one of the big ones out there. And she said, like Trump this is not an endless war, that kind of thing. And they went and said, and the note was, you supported or you were dead set against Biden starting a war in Iran. And the point is that what Trump is doing and what Biden was doing, or what John, the little mustache guy, Bolton, is advocating, the endless war is what even Bibi Netanyahu would want, is entirely different than what Trump wants. This is where we're falling right in line with Promethean Action, Promethean Report. Again, with the whole idea that Trump is rearranging the world order. And he just said, left out one of the most, or put out one of the most dynamic tweets he's done ever that I've seen. And we'll get to that later, because I can't remember the exact quote and I want to say it exactly as he put it. But the point here is that we're looking at the gun is still loaded. Ships are fully loaded. Planes are all ready to go. Iran better not FA, right? Or they'll FO. Or is it fuck around? Yeah, FA, find out.
Find
FO,
out. Yeah.
FA, FO. So heads up on all of that. Blake, your thoughts about Trump, how he's handled the situation? You happy with the way he's operating with it, how he's handled it? What's your take on everything? I love the quote. I love that. It's very encouraging to me. It sounds like Trump fully in control.
Yeah, no, and I think the detractors will say he lost the war. That's what they're saying out there, and that he had to find an exit because he was losing, and that's not the case. He's doing exactly what he wanted to do. He doesn't want to destroy the country of Iran. That was not the intent. The language about civilization ending wasn't really directed at all the Iranian people. That was directed because he had to speak big so the mullahs would understand he meant business. That's for them. They're hearing that he's willing to pull the trigger, and he showed that he is, because people in the left, and especially those in our Western society, we have a sense of polite culture, right? That it's that, well, you can't talk mean to somebody, right? If you're hurting my feelings. But when you're in the real world, folks, outside of our mushy little Western cozy, crazy housewives from Beverly Hills type shows, living rich, can complain about your makeup, complain about your feelings being hurt. Those guys, it's about mano to mano language. They don't care about your feelings. They don't, but they do care when it is a male-dominated world, and you got to speak like you're a guy carrying a big stick, and you're gonna freaking use it. And it's fist fighting language. That's what they understand. You're willing to fight. It's a male thing. You're not gonna like it, ladies, and especially you effeminate men that seem to think that we should be emasculated into type of guys that have no ability to we need to act soft and mushy and nurturing to these people. Those poor little mullahs need a little cuddle. No, the mullah language is the way those guys talk to each other. It's mano to mano language. It's mafia don versus mafia don. That's what we're seeing here.
You're far from alone. You're far from alone, Nick. Far from alone.
I think that's the point. I don't think he would ever want to murder 90 million people by nuking Iran. That's not what the intent was. He's trying to actually free people in Iran that have been under a criminal regime, and it is criminal. And where we get to the Promethean action points is that this has been managed from the City of London and the WF crowd as a choke point to shake down people and the world, because it's a shakedown of the world's oil supply moving through there, by having to pay payola to the mullahs to move your oil through there on an endless, while then making payola to Lloyd's Bank, the insurance, to insure a huge amounts of money every ship that goes through there every single time. So it is a shakedown point, and that's what Trump's point is. That is what Trump's talking about. Trump is fed up with the nonstop shakedown, the big extortion that has been running at the Strait of Hormuz by the globalists, allied to their partners in the mullahs that are running Iran, who were placed there by the globalists to take power. So let's say for who it was, they could have left Khomeini in Paris back in 1979 and say, you ain't leaving, bud. You're not taking power. We're not allowing you in there. But they didn't, so all of a sudden the Shah's the evil guy. Yeah, he was, dictators are dictators. But it sure looked like, when you look at early photos and videos of what Iran was like pre the Islamic Republic, and it looked like it was a pretty good place to be. So
All right, Blake, what do you take of this? Donald Trump, truthing out, world's most powerful reset, all caps. And that's it. That's the entirety of the message, despite a little bit of, some text. You can see just the end of it below
we
that.
We know who that's for.
But this is world's most powerful reset, Donald John Trump. What's he saying, Blake?
He's sticking it to the WF 100% there. That is to your WF, City of London financial control of the world, their plan, who wanted the Great Reset, that their prophet, Klaus Schwab, had promoted the Great World Reset. You'll eat bugs, you'll own nothing and be happy. You'll be under this new globalist fascist system, social credit system. They wanted to reset the world. Trump's saying, nah, this is how you reset the world and you're not in it.
Yeah, that's a great interpretation. Other people are also linking the whole dissolution of NATO to that comment as well, that the world order is changing rapidly. Your old world is rapidly fading, as Bob Dylan's saying. Okay, moving along. We got so much going on here. Let's get back to Alex Jones for a sec. If you don't realize Alex Jones is a laughingstock clown after this tweet, there's no hope for you. Emergency message to the White House. The president had the greatest witch track of attack anybody's ever seen. Every Christian inside the White House called for a fast. J.D. Vance, Susie Wiles, Carolyn Levitt, or anyone close to the United States road to power, lead the nation fasting prayer to break President Trump free from Satan's chains. Blake, Sue's laughing in the background. What do you make of this Alex Jones message?
I don't know what he's referring to. Which? Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton's?
Oh my God!
Casting spells?
I don't know, man. But apparently he's under a bunch of attack by some sort of satan.
Maybe they're referring his Christian pastor. What's her name? And her.
Yeah, she's in there. What's her name? Paula.
We covered her in a couple shows.
Yeah,
ago.
we did. We talked about her a couple. She's over the top. But no, I think what he's referring to is Trump's. He's trying to reframe everything, that he's caring about Trump, that Trump's a victim of satanic devices here, and that he's not in his right mind. And if he was in his right mind, we'd be able to help him. As a matter of fact, I think there's a clip. Well, we got this here. Let's go to
that's old. That's not it, though. I don't think.
We got to do this one here, though.
Short.
We're gonna beat these. That's to reinforce the point, because I like this one a lot. So I want to do this one. Hang on, Blake. Okay, go back. Okay, here we go. Here's Alex pleading, crying. Here we go. We're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. We're gonna beat these people. All right. Okay. So there's that, and then let's move along with Alex here.
That's an older one. I think that's from when.
Yeah. It's just all it is. I'm just pointing. There's the British citizenship tip. But what happens is that he makes a tweet. What he's trying to convey here is that this is all related to the Trump not listening. In fact, there's another clip out with him out there, and I'll go grab that one now while we take this down. But let you respond to the thing. I mean, clearly the crying, this sort of thing. We saw did we show the drunk clip where he was drunk on Tim Pool's show?
I've seen clips with it's been multiple times where he's been stoned and drunk with Joe Rogan, because they're buddies.
Well, but it's getting worse and worse. So people are starting to show some real concern from Jones, because he's done a couple of back-to-back kind of stuff going on, like alcohol abuse sort of thing.
Well, I think he's lost. He's still fighting, I think, to hold on to whatever he had left, because the Democrats went at him hard by over the Sandy Hook comments.
Correct.
And he had the biggest fine judgment in history. I mean, he had to pay almost $900 billion settled.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but I mean, he was right in that situation. It was free speech, even if he was wrong. But it was free speech. But none of the other news organizations who lie and cheat and regime media ever had fines like that. But he's been fighting financially that collapse. And I think that was a big part of why Owen Schroyer may have saw, I got to do my own thing. But there's a grift there as well, because he hawks a lot of products to stay alive. But what I see in this comment is, I think he's been a supporter of Trump for a long time, but when he goes off, he tries to find a way back in, right? Yeah, and this is, I think, his way of trying to get back in, into Trump's, because Trump's been on a show, and Trump at least respected him enough that his audience was large enough that he went on his show to talk to him and said, "You'll like what I'm doing." And he did. Trump went on there and
he spoke. Went on there.
Yeah, and he has, because he's a huge audience, and he has a big MAGA type of audience too. He also has a lot of flakes that are, tinfoil hats that are into some pretty crazy stuff, including the Nick Fuentes type crowd. But I think this is his way of trying to say, I'm really with you here. I'm actually trying to help you, and I'm trying to get back into your camp, because he went off saying Trump. I watched it to double check, because I don't like clips. I like to see the whole conversation, because
given the format, given the nature of our program's format, there's no way we could go.
No, not for us, but for me to be able to comment without just saying a 15-second clip, because we know the media and people will take little clips and take them out of context all the time. So you need to hear the whole thing. What's it all about? And yeah, he did come out and state that Trump should be 25th, right? And that was. And he placed it, but it wasn't just like, even if he was interviewing somebody, he said, so you like, if you were just questioning it to somebody to respond, you say, do you think Trump should be, the 25th Amendment should be used on him over this? That's a question a journalist would ask, because somebody has that opinion, have them make their comment. But he said, his exact words were 25th Amendment, his ass. So that is a direct attack on his sanity, and I think that's the point where Jones went off the deep end and just said, no, we got to get rid of him.
I had another clip lined up with that, but we got breaking news on Alex Jones. Here's the latest from Alex. This just coming in now. This came out, people started posting this about 20 minutes ago, sort of thing, so it's pretty hot off the press. Let's go grab it. Boom. Okay. Just be careful who you follow. That's, I guess, the message takeaway is what I'm I'm going after Jones. Okay. Alex Jones, here he goes. Here's the latest prediction coming in from Alex. Again, it's just a clip, Blake, but, we deal with what we got. Here we go.
So this is a existential crisis, the very future of this country and the world. And spanking Trump got him back on course a little bit, but now he's doubled down and coming back at us out of frustration and using us as a distraction from his wife, that, looking at the tea leaves and the angles, she may not publicly divorce him, but everything I'm seeing looks like she just flew the coop.
Okay. So
is there any evidence to that?
There's no fucking evidence.
Exactly. Let's show the evidence.
It's an assassin. It's a character assassination. It's evil, and I'll call it. I like one of Blake's favorite expression. Let's call it for what it is. Oh, let's call this for it's just fucking evil, man.
Yeah,
you're stirring up shit where there is no shit. Now, apparently, Alex's own marriage, I think he's gone through two, burning through a couple, and he's having some troubles on that front right now. So people say maybe Alex is projecting. But the whole thing is to disrupt, to confuse. Where there is envy and confusion, every evil work, the Bible teaches us. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot. He generates confusion. Oh, doubt. Oh, is Trump's marriage about to fall apart now? And he goes, she may not leave him physically, but it's all over to all intents and purposes. I'm just looking at the tea leaves. The whole thing is absolute magic. That is what the Bible would actually call witchcraft. That is witchcraft. When you manipulate, when you deceive, it's all sleight of hand. Don't look here, look here. Now he's calling question Trump's marriage. Are you fucking kidding me? What an attack. So, and in fair enough, Trump's counterattacking. But they launched on Trump. Trump just reacts to it. Trump didn't go in after them. They went after Trump, all of them.
Yeah.
Candace Owen suggesting that Trump may be behind somehow or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk. Are you fucking kidding me? Then we've got Alex Jones doing his thing, hit after hit after hit. The other clip was him also questioning Trump. There's something going on with Trump right now. He was in the InfoWars. We're all seeing him. He's we got to pray for Trump. Something weird's with, his brain. He's going, there's, that routine. So it's all. Yeah,
horrible. That's true, Kimba. That's exactly true. It is divination.
It is divination. Yeah. It's an occultic art. So anyway, I'm making my case here. I know you have more affection for him than I do. I don't take anything away that under the Obama thing, it was horrific what they went after the guy to bust him and break him. He was a big target for them. But now, having seen everything, all my sympathy for this clown is gone. I have zero sympathy. You're a danger. You're a divider. You will lead many astray through error. And where will you lead them to, Alex Jones? What is your fucking alternative? People that have sold out to globalist interests, because that's the only alternative I see. You got Trump destroying the British Crown's power and the World Economic Forum, the reset, the new
everything he wanted, everything he has talked about for 30 years.
Yeah,
he's getting through Trump right now, and then all of a sudden it comes down to a very simple thing.
But it's all coordinated. It's all happening at the same time. Alex Jones, Candace Owen, Megyn Kelly, it goes on and on, Tucker Carlson, and all with the same talking points. That coincidentally, one of these idiots, Megyn Kelly or Tucker, one of them, actually quoted a Democrat think tank to go against Trump with a whole bunch of quotes against Trump. They're actually quoting Democrat sources, anti-Trump Democrat sources. That's all I need to know. You're an enemy of the people. You're either with us or against us. If this is the American Revolution 2.0, and I think it is, then you either ride with Paul Revere or you stand with Benedict Arnold. Choose the army you're going to fight with. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Go ahead.
There is a third.
Go third one.
You can also go so far deep chasing endless conspiracy theories that you become like Don Quixote chasing dragons and windmills. You're just wasting your time. You're going insane, because the fact is that even though your intentions were right, and you were right a few times, you don't have to continue to go chasing dragons that don't exist. And that's, I think, a big part of it, right? That's a big problem that they have. Not all of them. I think some of them are deep state actors. I don't like Nick Fuentes. I'll keep saying that.
Yeah.
He makes sense on a lot of things, but then you got to look behind the curtain to see who that guy really is. He makes you feel slimy when you're around him and you hear him. There's something.
Yeah, but didn't Satan do the same thing?
Exactly.
And didn't Jesus himself said to the Pharisees, do what they tell you to do, but don't follow after their manner. They're deceitful, do all things. Okay, Blake, we're on to the British question. Let's see how we do. British citizenship. And I asked Grok if this was a legit thing, and apparently really it is. Question 24, final question. Which festival celebrates the end of Ramadan, when Muslims have fasted for a month?
Oh, of course, I know that one. Hanukkah.
Eid al-Fatir. So, this is nonsensical. Of course, we all know the answer is Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. And then in a related English story, this is a political candidate for election in Britain. No, I'm not joking. We are being colonized. Well, let's take a look at who the candidate is.
It's not just the praise of the people. It's not just the will of the people that makes a difference. But when you have a strong father, a strong shed upon you, then nothing can stop you from winning. And we please, Mr. Khan Senior is here. He's our elder. We all look up to him. He's made changes in Rochdale, and his son is about
It's
to
Joe
bring a big
Biden's
change in
become a Muslim.
All right. So
it looks like Joe Biden.
Well,
Joe Biden's growing a beard.
I tell you, man, that is just crazy. I mean, the guy barely looks like he's an elderly gent, and I don't know what his mental acuity is or anything. Apparently, he's helped out Rochdale for the Muslim community. But is that England? At the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, is that England? My answer, it's not the England I knew and loved, and that I visited. I went to England. My ancestors come from England and the United Kingdom in general, as do your own, Blake. And so this has nothing to do with our culture, our traditions, our heritage. It has been effectively replaced in large sections of England. It's just gone. And the fact that they have a religious question, what celebrates on a citizenship for England, you don't need to know that shit. The same reason you don't need to know how long, how many days is Easter weekend? Give me the stages of the cross. And you might as well do that because it's a religious question. It has nothing to do with being English.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So problematic in the extreme, I would say. Your thoughts on the old fella and your thoughts on the questionnaire, British citizen.
Well, I mean that's just madness. The questionnaire shouldn't even really be relevant to that question. As a matter of fact, they should be talking about British heritage points, real British heritage points. If you're going to become a British citizen, you should know something about British history. What's the name of the wall that was built to keep the Picts out of invading Roman occupied lands? Well, we know that one. It was Hadrian's Wall. Maybe that's something you put in there, but you don't. I mean, is the Islamic world has no history except for modern history now, for being part of becoming immigrants into Britain. Now, there's been lots of people will argue, and that's the problem. They'll say, well, England's a mix of different peoples from Europe that have invaded it on and off, and we got the Saxons, etc., etc. But there is a commonality, right, in culture, and Britain has evolved to get to the point of being the motherland of freedom, right? Essentially, it's where the Magna Carta was created. It's where we get our free speech. All this aspects of civil rights and individual rights came from that, which then America just blew it up wider and said, no, let's make it even more stronger. And they created their Bill of Rights, and which is the most powerful document, Declaration of Independence, about the independence of the individual, not just of a region. And I think that's the problem is with immigration and mass immigration, when you don't have controlled immigration.
Yeah.
And that's where the replacement theory is now fact. They don't give a rat's ass about culture. They don't care about the indigenous people. And yet they pass a UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights that should apply to any indigenous peoples in anywhere in the world, including the indigenous Britons. Exactly.
Yeah.
So why not? Why are we doing this? And why are we not giving them indigenous rights of land title as well? Go back to the old days. Sure. Okay, England, let's break you all up into a feudal state again where the nobles are all Britons and everyone else is a leasing peasant.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 2021 or 2022 is now becoming 2026. The same thing, but the action shifts from Canada to Ireland. Part of the title of today's show is Ireland. I've got a couple of Ireland. I'll just go through them, Blake, and then we'll take them on. I can't believe I'm posting this, but I believe the Irish government has frozen my bank account. My bank card has not been working since yesterday when my post about the current protests in Ireland began going viral. This is insanity. The Irish government is drunk on power. We got a story about suicidal empathy in Canada here. I'll do this before we go back to Ireland. Every day I wake up with a sense of optimism. I quickly slap back to reality. While I always fight for liberty and freedom, I'm increasingly skeptical that the West will recover. The autocorrective steps necessary undo the parasital empathy are are unlikely to ever be implemented. It's slow, increasingly faster walk the abyss of infinite darkness. The story breaking: Yusuf Ali Talkuktar, who was convicted of sexually assaulting a child under 14 in 2010, has emerged as a prominent campaign organizer. Liberal candidate Dolly Begum in the Scarborough Southwest by-election, lobbying Carney to make her a cabinet minister. Just crazy. But meanwhile, epic backfire in Ireland. The Irish government sent in the military, just like they did in Canada, to crush fuel protesters, but the crowds exploded in size. Now, huge parts of the country are running out of fuel. Their globalist regime has completely lost control. We'll play the clip.
Yes, Ray, there's a very big protest taking here tonight at Galway Harbour. The numbers have swelled significantly. There are hundreds of people here, and they say they are not going away. The impact of the fuel blockades across the west of Ireland is really taking effect now. There's no diesel in Achill, no fuel in Balmullet, queues in Erris, queuing for fuel, and in Galway, places like Salthill, Athenry, Turlockmore, Cosla in Connemara. All of these forecourts have very, very low levels of fuel. Some have completely dried up. And tonight, Ray, that all comes against news I've received from a source in the energy industry to say that there's a tanker off the coast of Kerry tonight coming from Antwerp and expected to dock at Galway Harbour, tide dependent, at around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now that tanker will get here but will not be able to land and offload 6 million litres of fuel. It's agrodiesel, it's white diesel, it's kerosene for home heating. That tanker.
All right, so there we go. We'll end the clips for today with just that. Let you know that the people are rising in Ireland. One guy complained his bank account. We saw this happen in Canada. Farmers, people, they're blocking. They're giving their effort. Canada ultimately failed. They policed everybody. Fines started coming in, and I think ultimately the Irish, you got to be prepared to fight to your last breath with this stuff. People are going to go to prison for this. I'm pretty sure they're going to start locking people up for this. It's going to be a massive crackdown because the response is arguably larger than even what it was, because we were really the nexus point was in Ottawa for Canada with the big truckers convoy. This seems to be in different places. Now, Galway, you got to love Galway. I've got ancestry in Galway. Me Irish great-grandmother, her people came from Galway and County Clare. So Clare and Galway are right next to each other. So my Burkes, actually my great-grandmother was from Galway. But anyway, so we love Ireland. It's on the northwest coast there, folks, if you're wondering whereabouts Galway Bay is. Blake, your thoughts on the Irish situation? Are they going to have better luck than Canada did, or is this the spark that's going to set Europe ablaze, and we're going to see more of the World Economic Forum shaking? What a time to be alive with Trump, the Iran, Venezuela shaking, the reset. There's going to
South
be a
America
reset like we've never seen. Unbelievable.
All points. It's funny. It's almost like if you're the Chinese, you're probably sitting there eating your popcorn, watching the world, because they had hopes on all this, and they're like, what's going on around here? We thought these globalists were going to work with us and take over the world, but we might have to do our own thing now. And same with Russia, like they're same thing. They're fighting against them in Ukraine. But yeah, it is a time to be alive. Never seen anything like this. This is a revolution. And I think that's the only way it can be described. We're in a global revolution in the Western world specifically. It's a pushback. It's a fight against the globalists who tried to usurp our rights, our individual rights and freedoms, our property. They thought that they could get away with a massive grab using COVID as the underlying vehicle to strip power quickly. And it was the vehicle. They showed that through emergency power, they could take away your rights and take control of all of your assets as countries, be it from your financial assets to your resources,
I think
to your own personal banking.
Biden getting into the presidency as well.
Oh, I think it was a way 100%, and it was because it was a way they could roll in the illegal voting machines and cheats and voting cheats around the world, not just in the United States, but it was a way to get their puppet, who was basically brain dead, to run the United States, which he wasn't running it anyways. It was apparently AutoPen was running it all. But my point is, for what's going on in Ireland, let's look back at history real quick. You know, the United States, the founding fathers were all considered traitors, and were good. Had they lost, they would have been hung. You know, they would have been hanged by the British authorities as traitors. They would have been killed. They were seen as terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
What happened in France? When they had their revolution. I mean, we saw the entire upper class go in front of the guillotine. We saw the storming of Bastille. I mean, at some point, we can only hope that there is a peaceful revolution. But at some point, brave people have to physically do something. And if it means blocking roads with trucks as the protest, forcing the corrupt authorities to bring guns against you, then, I picture Tiananmen Square, that one guy standing in front of a tank, he's iconic image. And the tank could have just ran him over, but it didn't. He stood there in front of it, and the tank was, okay, I'm going to try to go around him this way. Nope, makes a step over. And, it does take one person standing up against it, and it does take a physical effort, not just a keyboard warrior, to be able to do it. And in some cases do it. And maybe Canada, and I'm one as guilty as that as anybody, that those of us in Canada need to do the same thing. It's time to take to the street, start holding these corrupt WF officials and locking them into where they belong. And that's, if anything, they need to go to jail. And I don't like this idea. It's like jailing your opposition every time whoever wins gets to jail theirs. No, we're not talking about that. Actually going after a criminal class that has been playing all sides of the fence and get them in jail. So Ireland, I hope you do your best. Don't allow that Toronto-based cop who obviously was brought over to Ireland to help manage these things. I think that's just bizarre to me. I'm glad Rebel News was calling that out and showing that out. That was kind of strange. But hold your ground. Don't let them, and don't move those trucks. And I hope the people of Ireland flood the streets and prevent them from sending in troops. Because I understood, even in Canada, apparently some of those cops weren't even from Canada. They were brought in from Germany and other places. I had read, I don't know how accurate that is, but they had to bring in extra forces from outside of the country to support the Ottawa police, because they couldn't get the local guys to say, I'm not going to pick up a baton against my own people.
Yeah.
And apparently some of them were from Germany and other places like that. So yeah, this is the globalists. This is globalism, folks. This is what they wanted for you. And Ireland's making a stand. I hope they win. Of course, they're going to be painted as the most negative, worst people on earth, just like they did here. They called them racist. They called them homophobes. They called them everything under the book for protesting about one thing, their freedom. That's it. That's all they wanted. Just leave us alone, stay out of our lives, do what your core responsibilities are, government, keep our roads open, national defense, and a few other smaller odds and ends. But the problem is they want everything. They want it all. And Ireland's putting up a fight. But the fact is the whole replacement of the population is a cornerstone of what's happening there. And I think when you're seeing, these people doing criminal acts and they're getting away with it, and the judges keep letting them loose. And
we need reform. Yeah.
Rapes and murders that are happening, and it's just ongoing. I mean, they're blaming apparently Tommy Robinson now for what's happening in Ireland. That's how desperate they are. So it's Tommy's fault that the people are rallying. No,
last I looked, he wasn't Irish.
Yeah, that's right. But the point is, it's the gaslighting. We've never seen a level of gaslighting against the patriotic side of our countries here in Canada, here in Australia.
Well, okay. I said we were going to leave with Ireland, but I can't resist. Here we go. Yeah. Let's watch a commercial and we'll end it that way instead.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Did you see this, Blake? Denmark has an ad on TV that compares white people dating other white people to inbreeding. Suggests that breeding with Middle Eastern and Western Asian people can ward off disease. It's how we've survived. This is literal genocide propaganda that's played in their native lingo. Yeah.
Det er vildt, hvad vi kan læse ud af DNA'et fra gamle tænder og gamle afføring. De første mennesker i Grønland, de uddøde på grund af en arv. DNA'et i den her lille fætter har vist os, at vi danskere har overlevet, fordi vi har knaldet med andre folkeslag fra Mellemøsten og Vestasien. Og det har gjort os mere resistent over for sygdomme. Så hvis vi ikke blander os med fremmede, så uddør. Så hvis I skal give jeres kommende børn de bedste muligheder, så skal I nok vælge noget lidt mere eksotisk.
All right. So there you go, Blake. Your thoughts on that advertisement?
Well, unfortunately for Ivor there, whatever his name is, he's not going to have too many Middle Eastern women that he can go and date now. But I mean, come on. These
it's all one way, isn't it? That's it's kind of all one way.
Yeah, so what's he gonna do? Go find some gay Muslims somewhere? Probably not. Well, he could maybe in Iran, apparently. But the point is, I mean, these are the people who are saying this is scientific, are the same people who told you the science behind COVID, it was all about science. And that if you didn't listen to them, this is the mass psyop that is being run by this organization in every Western nation to make us believe that we're the problem and they're not. And that's the gaslighting. So I'll end it there. It's a mass psyop. We need to just stand against it and ignore it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Blake so much for being here and having fun. I really, of course, all of it, the most important component of all this is you folks tuning in to watch our little program. But a lot of ground we're covering. But I feel overall, I'm feeling very confident. I feel that a lot of the, they've got a different word. That's not a good word, so I won't use it. It's MAGA with an F. Those people are being revealed and showing up for what they are. Alex Jones, et cetera.
Panicans.
Yeah, the panicans. Exactly, Blake. But the president's doing great things. He's got an incredible administration. A lot of advances, but the fight continues. Fight. The president said it is the new world disorder. Trump's writing it. The world was upside down. Trump's working hard to write it, and hopefully it'll all work out. I think it will, but we shall see. Time will tell the tale. We've got to get certain. Trump does executive orders. Those executive orders need to be made law. They've got to get Congress and Senate together and get these things passed into law so that America can be saved. It's so critical, so important.
That's if
America falls, the world falls.
Yeah. It goes into another. I mean, it was what happened when the fall of Roman Empire and we had the Dark Ages. So I don't think we want to see the Dark Ages.
No. All right, everybody. We'll be back Tuesday. We'll see what the heck else has happened over the weekend. Because each time we go away for a few days, and there's always a big story that breaks. Right now, Ireland, all eyes on Ireland. God bless the people of Ireland. We hope they win. All right.
Amen.
Take care. Bye for now.